Mark Charles. It is Thursday, May 25th, and I'm in New Mexico drinking my second cup of coffee. I'm actually trying something new today, which is I'm doing my second cup of coffee over my phone, not just the Facebook, but I'm streaming it through. I use Restream as my streaming service, and I'm doing it through my phone on Restream. So I'm going to see if this works and how many people I can get on with this, but we'll see what happens. So anyway, I am traveling this week. I've been on the road for about 4 or 5 days already. Our family went to Los Angeles to spend some time with our son last week, who just finished college and is now headed to move to Iowa. But yeah, I'm here in New Mexico, spending some time with family here, and I just wanted to take some time to talk about some events of the day and drink my second cup of coffee. Of course, I'm back in Denete. I'm between our four sacred mountains of the Navajo people, not on our reservation, but in our traditional lands. And it's very good to be back home again. I'm also near the Hopi and the Zuni Pueblos, as well as all of the other Pueblos that are here in New Mexico. But it's so good to be back between our four sacred mountains. And I hope that you are enjoying yourself wherever you are today. And it's still morning here, so I'm in mountain time, so it's just past 11:30. So this is still my second cup of coffee, and I can still say Yate Abine. One of the things I want to talk about is next week. On I've mostly been traveling for personal reasons, doing stuff with family and doing some other things. But on Friday or Saturday, actually, I'm going to be flying back to Los Angeles, and I have a speaking event at Los Angeles City College next week, Tuesday, on the 31st. And that event is going to be an internal event. It's the filming of a kind of a show that they're doing in their TV studio called Difficult Conversations. And I'm going to be talking with the president of Los Angeles City College, and we'll be talking about, this is where I spoke last November about the kind of the true story of Thanksgiving and the history of Abraham Lincoln. And so I'll be there talking about those things and some of those topics, both with the president of the university as well as with students who are going to be joining me for a bit of a panel. I don't know if that's going to be streamed or how that's going to be, and I know it's only going to be open to students, so I'm not promoting that too heavily, but I will be doing that on Tuesday. After that event, I'm jumping on a plane, flying to Albuquerque, and then in the morning, I'm driving from Albuquerque to Window Rock on, this is the 31st, on Wednesday. And Wednesday at 10:30 in the morning, I will be speaking at the Navajo Nation Museum. And we have a graphic that just got posted. It's their Long Walk speaker series. And it was uh, June 1st of 1868 that the Treaty of Bosquedando was signed, which is the treaty that brought our Navajo people back from Bosquedando to part of our traditional lands here in the Southwest. And we have a treaty with the U.S. government that we are commemorate every June 1st with events on our Navajo Nation. And this year they asked me to speak at the Navajo Nation Museum. They're having three speakers going on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and I will be kicking it off that first day. That will be a live event. It's going to be in the theater at the Navajo Nation Museum, and it begins around 10:30, I believe, is the time it's supposed to start. We've been working on a press release to get that out, and hopefully that'll be posted later today. If not, by the latest by tomorrow, we'll have that press release out. They've asked me specifically to come and speak about Abraham Lincoln and his role and his policies that are what initiated the Long Walk and this ethnic cleansing policy towards our Navajo people. And so I'm very excited to have an opportunity to speak about this. Um, Invited to the Navajo Nation Museum and around the commemoration of the Treaty of 1868. So I want to make sure everybody is aware of that, and we'll be promoting that. I know it will be a free event for people who want to be there live and in person. I think they're going to stream it. I'm going to get those details later today. So if you can't be there in person, you'll also be able to watch it live online. Um, but yeah, so we'll be doing that, and I'm looking forward to that. And then I'm going to drive back to Albuquerque after that event's over. I get on a plane that night, and I fly back to Washington D.C., landing early in the morning on Thursday morning. I'll have been gone about 2 weeks. So as most of you know, right, I'm still recovering from my hip surgery, so I'm still kind of limping around a little bit, but my recovery is going okay, and I'm able to move around more with greater freedom every day. And yeah, I'm very pleased with how my recovery is going. For those of you who have been paying attention to the news, right, of course, there's a lot going on. Yesterday, the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, made an announcement, and most of the headlines you've been reading are talking about how that kind of got flubbed on Twitter and it kind of crashed the servers. And that's being pointed as a big problem, and this is indicative of his campaign, blah, blah, blah. I'm not paying too much attention to that, right? I mean, this is what you get for tying your fortunes to Elon Musk. Elon Musk likes to use the public as kind of his guinea pigs to see if things work. And he doesn't really care who gets hurt or what happens in that. And so that's what happens, right? Elon Musk didn't have the technology. He laid off too many people. The infrastructure was not set up. And that's what happens when you tie your fortunes to Elon Musk, which is what Ron DeSantis did. But they'll get over that. He'll get some bad press for a day or two. But if you listen to his speech and listen to the things he talked about, um, there are other things I'm more concerned about regarding the campaign of Ron DeSantis. Um, First of all, he's fighting hard to not be the MAGA candidate, but he's actually working very hard on many of the same themes. Obviously, his attack on minorities and on diversity, equity, and inclusion, his attack on woke culture, his attack on LGBTQ, all of these things that he's doing and he's legislating in the state of Florida, he wants to now take that national. And his rhetoric, I'm afraid, is going to get even more stark as he continues to do that, and especially as him and Donald Trump begin fighting for the votes of the Republican people, the Republican Party, and trying to get them to vote for them. And so I'm expecting his rhetoric to become very inflammatory. I'm expecting his rhetoric to become very divisive. And I'm most concerned about the plans that they have of raising $200 million to basically, do all out media blitz on in this campaign to really win the nomination of the Republican Party. And I'm really concerned about what that's going to do to the national dialogue and to the public dialogue, especially because Democrats don't know how to respond well to Republicans who use this type of inflammatory rhetoric. They don't know what to do. Their only solution is, well, stop being a Democrat, stop being a Republican, become a Democrat, which isn't going to happen. They don't know how to talk to Republicans, and they don't know how to point out in a way that has any integrity that they're not even fighting for things they actually believe in. And so, one of the things I'm hoping to do in these next few months is to really address white evangelicals more directly. I talked about this last week. I would love to begin planning a trip down to Florida to directly talk to people in Florida, maybe do a book tour event down there, something like that. I'm working, this week. Next week I'm doing this presentation on Lincoln. I'm actually working on a 75-minute Lincoln presentation that I'm going to be testing around the country later this year, and hopefully taking that publicly around the nation next year in 2024 to really get our nation to wrestle with not only the mythology we created on Abraham Lincoln, but to wrestle with what does it say about us as a nation that we still honor this blatantly white supremacist and genocidal president as one of our greatest presidents in our history. What does it say about where we are and who we are as a nation? And while I'm not running for office in 2024, I very much want to try to insert some pieces into the dialogue of what's going on in this next campaign, because, right, it's just going to become a mess. And in the future, I'll go a little more explicitly why I decided not to run in 2024. One of the main reasons is because it's Trump is running again. And the media cannot help itself but to broadcast everything Trump says and does, right? This is how they pay their bills. This is how they sell their advertising. And it's just going to be, so if I had a hard time getting media coverage in 2020, it's going to be even worse in 2024 again. And unfortunately, my audience, my platform hasn't grown enough, and it's still going to be more convenient to ignore me than it is to include my voice in the messaging and even to confront me. So I for that, and there's some other reasons, but I'm not at the moment planning on running in 2024. But I very much want to address and talk about what we're doing as a nation, where we're going, and how neither party has the solutions of what we need to do to move forward. So anyway, those are just some things I'm thinking about. But yeah, as I'm listening to Ron DeSantis and his rhetoric and some of the traction that he's getting, right? He is in some ways, to me, even more dangerous than Donald Trump is. Um, and I'm concerned about that. So anyway, that's something I'm going to be thinking about and talking about over the next few weeks and months. But yeah, I'm hoping to begin in my travel, in my speaking, and not just online, because it's hard to get white evangelicals to pay attention to me online, right? It's too easy just to ignore what I'm putting out there. But I want to work hard at getting into some of those spaces and pockets around the country over this next year to really talk directly to white evangelicals and to challenge them, much like we did in our book on Settling Truths. What are you thinking? What are you doing? You're fighting for things that you don't even value, or that you state you don't even value, and are not at all aligned with your faith, right? And this is the same thing I say to Democrats as well, but I want to take that message much more directly to white evangelicals, who are going to be the ones who put either Ron DeSantis or Donald Trump in office. And so I want to just challenge them on what are they thinking and what's going on in their political minds. But anyway, I'm going to be traveling for about another week, and so I'm going to try and do at least one or two more of these kind of on location, remote second cups of coffee. I'm hoping they work out well. I have a harder time engaging with people because it's on my camera and it's on my phone. It's a little harder to see kind of what people are saying. But I see Susan's on here commenting. Yat A, Susan, thank you for being here. Billy's on here. Yat A, Billy, thanks for joining. Jordan, Yat A, thank you for being here. Jordan, you mentioned doing a book tour in Utah. I would love to do a book tour in Utah at some point. I'm not sure if it's going to work out on this trip, but I would love to do that at some point in the future. So please reach out. If you go to my website, to the contact me page or to the speaker page, you can send a message to my staff, and we would love to try and get something scheduled to do something in Utah. But yeah, my relatives, I hope that your day is going well. I hope your second cup of coffee is as good as mine is. I am really enjoying my ability to walk more. And I noticed as I was walking around this morning without my cane, I'm even walking without a limp. And so when I say walk in beauty, I really mean that, because it's taken on a whole new meaning for me, because I've been limping for so long that now I can actually walk without a limp. And as my leg continues to heal, my hip continues to heal, that's only going to get even stronger. So I shout out my relatives, walk in beauty, and may we all learn how to walk in beauty together. Hook on that.